you in Hawaii or back?
No, I'm back up in Tahoe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Dr. Capel's note or Capel's note. She had said that you were planning a little vacation or to visit family or something.
Yeah. Well, we go. My family goes to Maui every February. We have a fractional ownership there. So yeah, I went on February 1st. Took my mom there and got her set up, and that was only 3 or 4 days after a treatment. And I had to go get a COVID test and this and that. So I don't know how I did it, but I did it.
That's amazing. Yeah, we actually went to Maui back in beginning of December before things kind of shut down again.
Right.
Just for a few days. So where do you guys usually stay? On the west side or the east
We
side?
have a place at Kahana Village in Kahana.
Ah,
Yeah.
right.
Right on the water, watching the whales jump, you know, with your morning coffee.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you guys were there right during whale season.
Yeah, my parents picked February when they bought this place for that reason, and they live in Tahoe, and it's just the perfect time to.
It's a perfect time.
Get out of Tahoe.
Right, get out of the cold for a little bit.
Yeah. So I just got that message about the immunotherapy treatment.
Right. Yeah, I sent you a message, just to kind of like think ahead for our meeting today. Tell me, so let me just make sure I understand what's been going on since we last spoke in December. It looks like, you had gotten, cycle 3 and cycle 4 of just the Gentana, the Kabazi.
Yeah.
And it looks like, your PSA, was still going up. So 515, 692, 723, but your CT scans and your bone scan was more or less stable. Maybe a little bit of growth in some of the lymph nodes in your chest area, but not a lot of growth at all. But I had talked to Dr. Capel and said, okay, why don't we try adding a second chemo to the to the plan?
That was your idea.
That was my idea. How did you tolerate it?
You know what? I can tolerate it if it's helping. How's that? I mean, I can tolerate, I think, quite a bit, but it's hard. I mean, I don't know that we're getting 2 chemos on the same treatment day, and some days are just miserable. There's been a lot of vomiting, nausea. I'm starting to take the nausea medicine a little more regularly instead of when I feel it. And then again, the cannabis works best for that because it works so quickly. But
Right.
I'm trying to keep on the medicine, or take it, like say at 4 in the morning when I get up to use the restroom, and then maybe at 8 when I wake up for the day. It's not so bad.
And during the day, are you still pretty active and kind of?
Some days yes, some days no. I just bought a new RV. I just started my blog. I got a bunch of things going on, but like I tell people, absolutely nothing needs to be done. I don't need to do any of this, but my brain won't slow down. My brain wants to go. It wants to get in the RV. I got my new dog here. And so my brain's working good. I want to go. But my body is just, it's bad. It's beat up bad. I can't, but I do it. I had some visitors this weekend. We got out, we got to try to stay safe. So we,
Right.
and so, yeah, if it's working, I'll do it. And I mean, I don't know when I got to figure out myself when it's time to say, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
There's times when I feel like, am I going to wake up in the morning? And my whole midsection vibrates. Like, it feels like I got cell phones all around me and they're vibrating.
Uh-huh.
Not all the time, but if somebody asks me about the numbness in the fingers, and I am getting that and it's getting worse, but it's kind of like that in the midsection.
Okay.
And sometimes at night, it's just like, what is going on there? It's like a phone ringing.
Yeah.
And it's just a vibrating feeling in my midsection. I'm not sure what that is.
Okay. So it's also worsening in your hands? How about in your feet?
Not really in my feet, but I can feel it more in my fingers. I'm getting some headaches in the evening. Not terrible headaches, but headaches. I'm still smoking cigarettes. I have 2 or 3 a day. They just help my brain slow down, you know. So I'm doing the best I can on that.
With the headaches, are they like your normal type of headaches, and do they respond to like Advil?
Yeah,
or...
they do. Yeah.
Okay.
Bowels are pretty normal. You know, I'm not eating much. I'm down to like 138 pounds, I think. So I'm losing weight. Food tastes like crap. That's the other thing that came about with the new.
With the 2 chemos.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people just take a box of nails and put them in your mouth and swirl them around. You know, and so it's horrible. So nothing tastes good. Some things are worse than others, but. So yeah, we're at full strength on all the side effects.
Does the nausea and the headaches, do they get better as you get farther away from the chemotherapy? Like, you know, a week after or 2 weeks
You know
after?
what? Sometimes I think they do, and I tell people, you know, it gets better every day, and then you have a bad day or two.
Okay.
I know one day last week I had an appointment get some service on the car, and I had to go to Carson City, and a friend took me, but boy, by the end of that day, I was just done for 2 or 3 days, you know.
Who's walking? Your lab's name is Nala, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you walking Nala, or how is
Well,
that?
we actually get in the car and go down to the dog park, you know.
Okay.
And we do that twice a day. And the dog is really good about sticking her nose under my armpit and saying, let's go. So I'm not getting a lot of exercise. I have a Fitbit, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 steps a day when I think I have it set at about 6. So, yeah, I think more exercise would be good, but some days it's just you know, up to the mailbox and back. You know, up and down the driveway.
Are you at altitude too? I kind of forget where.
I'm at 6,200. Yeah.
So there's the altitude issue too, right?
You know what? I think when you live here, you kind of get used to it. And then I also have these cans. It's called Boost Oxygen. And I use those a lot.
Okay.
And if I get away from the vape pen and just regularly smoke some cannabis, I finish it with a couple of hits of that, you know, kind of clear out, and it gives me, it clears my head a little.
When you were in Maui, how did you feel?
Better.
But,
you know, it's warmer.
Warmer, yeah.
I was kind of eating a little better. I do want to get out of the cold here. That's why I want to get in the RV, and we're going to try to take a trip down to Utah, southern Utah and Arizona, and try to get to some warmer weather. Yeah, you know, it doesn't matter what's going on in my life. If I go to Hawaii, I'm going to feel better. Maybe you should just prescribe Hawaii, you know, but,
yeah, I know.
and I could move back to Hawaii. I got a house there that my friends have. I mean, I can't leave family and care, you know, but yeah.
So you know you have, you know, pretty aggressive prostate cancer. That's no surprise.
Right.
You know, and you know, I think the decision is going to be, well, do you want to be in a clinical trial, right? There are sort of expectations for when you're on a clinical trial, and you know, and it means, and what I mean by that is that, like, you have to come here for your infusions. We have to have the infusions relatively on time. You know, so it's a little limiting, you know, for some patients. You know, if you're thinking, you know, you want to get in an RV and you know, travel around, or you want to be in Hawaii for a month or two like that, you know, it's probably not the best fit to do a clinical trial,
Right.
because you know, because the trial just has a lot of rules, and they're there to protect you. They're there to protect us, because we don't know if the trial is going to work, right? And so we hope it is, and we run trials where we hope it's going to benefit patients. But you know, there are trials where things have to be stopped because it's either the drug is too toxic or whatever it is, right? So there's a lot of reasons. So I think there are properties too.
Okay.
You might have been on it before. It's dexamethasone. People use it for nausea as well. Like
I think I do recognize that name. Yeah.
Yeah, Decadron or dexamethasone, and we would do kind of low dose, 1 milligram twice a day, and just kind of help you feel a little bit better. It decreases inflammation from the cancer, and it kind of has properties to help fight against the cancer, and then kind of take it from there. And get you connected with the palliative care service. I don't know if
yeah, we're starting that at up here in Truckee, and I need to call them today because I'm a little confused right now with my medicines. Am I still supposed to be taking the prednisone? Am I supposed? My counter in the bathroom is a mess with medicine. I'm getting a little overwhelmed by it, so I'm going to call them today, get a list of what I'm supposed to be taking, when and where, and just get that firmed up.
Yeah, kind of reset.
Yeah.
So I think. And I think talking with them, I don't think you're at the point of hospice per se.
No.
You're doing too well. You're traveling. You're driving. You're playing with your dog. So I don't think you're at that point. But I think just getting connected with them, they can help. Manage some of the symptoms and things like that, and spend most of the time. Because for me and Dr. Capel, I want to spend most of the time talking about kind of how we're going to, think about the cancer. And so, we don't probably spend enough time with patients talking about symptoms and how to manage symptoms effectively.
Yeah.
So we do kind of need some help there. But, so I think, let's see how this next cycle goes. I think being on top of your nausea, whether it's with the marijuana, the cannabis, or whatever it is, I think that will be really helpful. And we'll get scans, and then we can kind of make a decision from there. I think if you do the immunotherapy trial, there's a couple reasons why I really like it for you.
Okay.
One is it doesn't have the side effects of chemo. Most people, when they get onto immune therapy, they don't even feel like they're even getting cancer treatment.
Boy, especially if you're coming off chemo, you probably feel like $1 million.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So number one, it doesn't hurt your bone marrow like it does, like chemotherapy does. It does have other potential side effects, like autoimmune type of side effects, which we do have to watch pretty closely. But for people who, it's like 10 to 20% of people get these autoimmune types of side effects, thyroid issues, or a little bit of stomach upset,
right?
Some rash. There are some kind of rare complications that can be, life-threatening that we do absolutely have to watch out for. So your immune system can get so revved up that that it can attack your liver or your heart or your lungs. It's rare. It's like less than 1%.
Okay.
We'll have these type of side effects, but if you decide to go on the trial, we'll go over all those things, and you'll read a lot of scary language. But at the end of the day, immune therapy is like what I would put like the 80-year-old patient who I don't think can tolerate chemo. I would say, do you want to do immune therapy?
Yeah.
So this is like the therapy that I'm comfortable giving pretty frail people,
right?
Even with all the potential side effects. So that's one thing, is that I think it'll be a lot easier. Number two, you've never had immune therapy before, so it's because you've had chemo, you've had radiation.
Yeah, and I've asked about it before, and they're like, no, you don't qualify for it. It doesn't work. It's not gonna. But this is a trial, so.
This is a trial, and you're absolutely right. For the run-of-the-mill patients, I wouldn't put people on immune therapy in the absence of a trial, because for most people it doesn't work. Now for you, I had asked Dr. Capel to do this liquid biopsy.
Yes.
Done the foundation medicine. And one of the interesting things from your liquid biopsy, so we saw the BRCA mutation that we knew about, right?
Right.
But one of the interesting things that they also calculated was something called the tumor mutation burden. So it's basically a measurement of how mutated your cancer is. Now, the irony or the interesting thing is that the more mutations someone has in their tumor, obviously it's not a good thing per se, right? More mutations is not is not good.
Right.
Your cancer is like really, really effed up. But what we know is that the more mutations someone has in their cancer, the more likely they actually are to respond to immune therapy. In other words, a high tumor mutation burden is sort of a predictor for immunotherapy responses. Okay? Now, for most patients with prostate cancer, their tumor mutation burden is like 0, 1, or 2. So it's really low. And that's why we think that most prostate cancer patients don't respond to immunotherapy that well, because the tumor mutation is actually pretty low. Now, your tumor mutation burden is actually 11. So, what we think of high is, so kind of to give you benchmarks, low tumor mutation burden is between 0 to 8. Intermediate tumor burden is kind of between 9 to 15 or 16. And then high tumor mutation burden is usually anything between 17, 18 to like 30.
Okay.
But your tumor mutation burden is actually intermediate, right? It's 11. And to me, that actually gives me some rationale to say, hey, maybe Mike actually would respond to immune therapy.
Right.
Because the mutation burden isn't like 0 or 1 like it is for most prostate cancer patients. Now, for, we think that the BRCA mutation actually does increase your tumor mutation burden and does increase your likelihood of responding to immune therapy. So there's a couple of reasons why I kind of think that it's worth a shot for you, right? Like,
okay.
I think there is some likelihood that you could respond to immune therapy. Obviously, I don't know that for sure, but
no, we don't. That's why it's a trial.
That's why it's a trial, right? And
yeah.
And to kind of give you a sense, chemotherapy in the setting that we're giving it to you, the likelihood of responding is about 30 to 40%, right? So, so certainly it's not 100% that that we think it's going to work, but even with 30-40%, we think it's better than not doing anything.
Yeah.
So, so I think there's a couple of reasons why I think having you on this trial would be worth it. But obviously, at the end of the day, it's you and it's your time.
Yeah, no, but being there, I know there's probably some initial appointments, and then being back in the Bay Area, San Francisco, every 3 weeks. That's not the end of the world, Yeah. I've already planned on, if I'm still on chemo, if I'm in Arizona, I just fly home, leave the RV there, and I got friends all over, watch the dog, whatever, rent a car, drive home, so it's not the end of the world to abandon where I'm at and head home and take a week off and then go back. So, or, didn't Doogie Howser live in the hospital parking lot in his RV?
Well, I have some patients who actually, they go over to, I have another patient, he's actually also in the Tahoe area. Whenever he comes, he takes his RV and parks. I guess there's an RV park in Pacifica.
Yeah, I know. I think I know which one it is. It's right on the cliff there.
Yeah, so it's right on the cliff. He I guess you're able to just kind of rent like a week or whatever.
Yeah.
So he just takes his RV and goes up to Pacifica and kind of hangs out there for a couple of days and then kind of goes back up to Tahoe. So
yeah. So see that living. I'm going RV life. I started a blog this week, and the plan is written in pencil.
Yeah.
So I will certainly entertain the idea. I'll look.
So it means that even with all the chemo, your bone marrow is staying pretty strong, because that's another side effect from the lutetia. So, so that's a third option. I think it's going to be a standard of care option pretty soon.
Oh, okay.
For you.
Well, and that's it. We've been waiting for 5 years and things have come around and you're always waiting for the new thing. So the first study, that's in phase 1 or phase 2? How long has it been going on?
It's now in phase 2.
Okay.
So it's been, we've had it here. We're actually the lead site for that study. We've had it here for about 6 months or so, and we've seen some nice responses in patients.
Okay.
We're trying to figure out, what are the predictors of response so that we can eventually just put people where we think have a high likelihood.
Right.
So we're looking at things like tumor mutation burden and genetics of the tumor and stuff like that. So so I think I think it's a really good option for you.
Yeah, it sounds like it. One of the other things I ended up with UC Davis, and I really shouldn't be worrying about it, is I ended up with quite a big bill. I figured, oh, I'm going into this study, and some stuff's covered and some stuff's not. But I ended up with $5,000 that I'm still trying to work on. People tell me don't worry about it. But it's a bill, and they bug me about it, and
Right.
I've gone through their financial assistance, and they didn't really give me much assistance. And I'm not broke either. I mean, but I also don't have, a ton of money for stuff.
Right. No,
So,
so we, kind of riff off of that thought. We actually have, one of the things that we as a cancer center get evaluated on by the NIH, the National Institutes of Health,
right.
is, how many people and what types of people do you enroll into clinical trials? And one of the things, and it's not surprising, one of the things that when we looked at our data, how many people and what kind of people enroll in clinical trials, one of the big areas that we got dinged on in terms of our evaluations was you seem to be only enrolling, number one, people in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though we are actually charged to serve everyone in Northern California, so all the way up to the Oregonian border,
Right.
border, we're supposed to take care of people all the way up there.
Right.
And so that was one area, one criticism, saying, why are you not serving the Northern California population like you're charged with, and only serving people in, San Francisco, Palo Alto?
Because there's so many people that you can find them right there.
That's one issue. But the second issue that we realized was, even in the Bay Area, we were really only serving people who were from white, affluent communities.
Mm.
And that was a big problem, because we weren't enrolling people of color. And, in San Francisco, that really shouldn't be the problem, right? We know we have...
You're supposed to be the leader in that.
Yeah, we know our population is pretty diverse.
Mm-hmm.
We have, 10-15% blacks, 10-15% Hispanics, 10-15% Asians. And yet when you look, and we're about, and the rest, obviously is Caucasian. But when we looked at our clinical trials, who were we enrolling onto prostate clinical trials? It was like 90% white.
Right.
And when we looked at the socioeconomic background, it was like 90% of people from, upper middle class socioeconomic classes. And obviously that's not our intention at all. It's not just doing clinical trials for, rich white people. That's not our intention. So we've actually been making a very conscious decision to say, how do we, what were the barriers and how do we try to overcome those barriers? So, like, for example, I'm obviously Chinese. One of the things that we realized was we weren't explaining clinical trials in native language, right? So people who spoke only Mandarin or Cantonese, they just didn't understand clinical trials.
Right.
They kind of thought that they were just only being tested, and that wasn't...
that they wouldn't be available to them, or...
Yeah, exactly.
That was my first thought, that the lower income, that lower, they're like, well, that's for other, and,
right.
I mean, I'm at a very good cancer center with Dr. Capel, and they're looking at those. If you're getting your cancer treatment at Kaiser,
right,
you're just getting Kaiser. Kaiser doesn't have a cancer center.
Right.
I don't. So yeah, it's about reaching out and finding them.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that we found out, this is really, I think, also speaks to the issue, was we had a lot of people that just said, hey, you want me to come, every single week for the first 3 months, or whatever it is, whatever, how frequent it was.
Right.
And you want me to pay $20 for parking every single time? Like, there's no way I want to do that, right? Like,
yeah.
So those sorts of barriers, which were the financial barriers of
right.
clinical trial, we realized, we don't want people not to enroll in clinical trials because they can't pay for parking. right?
Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense. And so we actually now have Dr. Hella Borno. She's one of our prostate specialists here. She actually, this is actually her area of research, and she was able to apply for a couple $1 million grant to say, where are areas that we can help patients to alleviate those type of costs?
Yeah.
To be able to come
to get them there.
Yeah, because we need to address the disparity. And so the short answer to why I'm telling you this is, I don't know what the situation was at Davis in terms of, what the bills were and things like that. But
Yeah.
We at UCSF are trying to be really conscientious about it.
Yeah.
And we do now have funding available. And so if you were to go onto this trial, I would absolutely connect you with her team to figure out what are the grants and where are the areas
Yeah.
we make this feasible for you. Because, things like gas money, right? Like, we don't think about this when we're in San Francisco and people are just taking the Muni or whatever it is.
Right.
But if you're coming from Tahoe every 3 weeks, that's a big gas bill. That's
Yeah.
like
Well, you can't. Yeah. Most people can't do it down and back in a day. I mean, I got family there, and I have a lot of resources. And most parking and gas is not the problem. It's the bills that end up
right. But all those little things, they add up.
They add up. Yeah. My new RV only gets 8 miles to the gallon.
Yeah. You gotta get one of those biofuel RVs.
Right. Well, the idea is to drive it somewhere and park it.
Yeah, right.
But okay, well that's good, and that's not a deciding factor for me. There's resources available. But yeah, let's look at that. Let's get the next treatment done. Let's get the bone scans done.
Scan, PSA. Let's see where we are. I'll touch base with my team to see how many slots are available.
Okay.
In the first immunotherapy trial. I'll circle back with you if there's a kind of a sense of more urgency. I'll circle back with you.
Where'd you get that circle back phrase from? You know, she stopped using it now.
And then if that trial ends up not being, if let's say you're responding really well and we can do another 3 cycles, there will be other trials down the road. I always tell people that there's our clinical trials portfolio here is just, we have so many trials, and I'm not really typically worried about not being able to get someone on a trial. So whether it's this BITE trial or something else down the road,
right?
Because I do want to be able to squeeze therapy, as long as you're feeling okay, obviously, to be able to squeeze the most out of each therapy, the most time.
Yes. Yeah.
Therapy, right? So.
Well, and back in November when I was starting chemo, it was like, you know what? It's winter time. I got nothing better to do. I don't mind going down. But now it's spring. Now it's summer.
Right.
That's much more valuable time.
Right. And then, and like we said, the backup plan is, maybe trying one of these other pills.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that the likelihood of success may not be high, but it gives you the flexibility of being mobile.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's becoming important as we go down this road. All right. Well, that's all very good, and that's encouraging. And I'm going to look a little more into this therapy, and I think you sent me a link to it that I can get into. I've been just busy, and I didn't get into that email until this morning.
And then I'll send you some more instructions today and some more information, kind of recapping what we talked about.
Okay. Yeah. Can this video that we're doing, is it available is it being recorded? Can we watch it again? I need to relay a lot of this information to family and friends. Nobody could be here today.
It's not recorded, but I'll type it up.
Okay.
Rising stuff, and then people can also read about read a little bit about PSMA lutetia, read about these PSMA bites.
Okay.
And then read a little bit about immunotherapy.
Okay.
I'll write all these things out for you. So
so there'll be you'll put in the after visit summary, and we'll take a look at that.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay.
Okay.
I don't think I have any other questions. Yeah.
And I'll send my note to Dr. Capel. I think the other thing that I'll tell her is that blood test, the foundation blood test that you did.
Yeah.
If there is evidence of progression, I would like to repeat that blood test again.
Okay. Well, there's always evidence of progression, and I've been told for years now, oh, it's just a little bit. Oh, it's just a little bit. Oh.
Yeah. And now we're up to 1,000, right?
Now we're up to 1,000. So, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we can repeat that if necessary. I'm here and available. I'd like to get on the road, but this is the priority. Is to
that blood test. The good thing, I don't know if I told you about this. How did she have you draw it? Did she send a phlebotomist to your house?
No, I think they did it during one of the chemo treatments.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And because for people who like don't live that close to a phlebotomist, like to the lab,
yeah,
the company actually has mobile phlebotomists. I don't know if they have them up in like your area.
No, I don't think it's a problem. I think we can do it right there in Truckee.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Do you have a port or
no?
You don't have a port. Okay,
no.
So you just get everything. You just get a new IV surgery.
They say I got good veins. They say I got good pressure. They say I got good oxygen. They say I got good. I'm a picture of health. They say.
You're a picture of health.
I got a good attitude and my brain's working fine.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
it's just going to continue to drag this body around.
Yeah, and you got Nala to take care of.
And I got Nala. Nala's just. I could have saved myself a lot of heartache and money by getting a dog instead of girlfriends for the last 20 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I think I told you, we have a dog too. We have an Aussie Doodle, and there's days where she's just like Kona, leave me alone. Oh, our dog's name is Kona.
No.
She's kind of the color of Kona coffee, which is why we
nice chocolatey brown. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a brown chocolate color, and my wife, we love visiting Hawaii, and we loved Kona. That's where we had gone for our honeymoon.
Right.
But anyway, there's days where you love her, but there's days where you're just like, can you leave me alone?
Leave me alone. Yeah. Yeah, no, I get those days, but boy, she's a godsend, and luckily, I mean, the beach park's only a couple blocks away. I just drive down there, open the car door, and all I got to do is walk down to the beach and back, and she's already got her exercise, and she comes home, and she's barely been out today, and she's just patiently waiting behind me. As soon as I get off of this, she's gonna be on me.
You're like, time to go play, Dad. Time to go play.
Okay.
All right, Mike.
All right. Thank you for your time. Your lunch hour, I heard. They said, yeah, he's gonna give you his lunch hour. So should we schedule something else or?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have Aaron schedule something in 3 months. We can always see each other sooner.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 That sounds good.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Have a good day.
All right. You too. Bye.
Okay. That was good. I'm tired. I'm going to get Nala outside for a little bit and then we'll get caught up. All right, guys.